And how about the YouTube broadcast? Is that
YouTube has not signed in. They may have another commitment this evening. What we do is we send them our recording and they post it tomorrow.
okay? Great. Thanks, everybody. My name is Brendan Magnan, and I'm the chair of the Inlands Wetlands Commission. I'm calling to order the December 20th, 2023 agency meeting. Lisa, please call the roll.
Ranjit Bahav. Oh, what happened?
I just coughed. Sorry, everybody. I've got a cold, so.
Ranjit Bahav. Daniel Bedecker.
Here.
Jim Connors.
Here.
Matt Connors. Heather Donaldson Gladue. Steve Munson.
Here.
Julie Valvo.
Here.
Brendan Magnan.
I'm here. Thank you, Lisa. Just a few reminders as we get started and as we continue to host these remote meetings. We will be posting this recording on the City of Milford website, and it is being recorded in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act and Governor Lamont's executive orders. If you want to be recognized by the chair, please raise your hand, and once recognized, please announce your name and location before speaking. That goes for the public members, not the commissioners. And at this time, I invite everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ranjit just joined the meeting.
Great. Okay, let's show the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Which one nation, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I think Steve's video is delayed.
he was having some delay with his video and audio. I said he may need to shut off his camera at some point to
Looks like he dropped out.
he might have dropped out. He'll join back in. We still have a quorum with Mr. Commissioner Bahav.
Great. Thanks, everybody. At this time, I'd like to open it up to public comments limited to 5 minutes on topics not otherwise on the agenda. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on topics not otherwise on the agenda? Seeing none, move on to D1. Item D1, Mayor Rose, can you introduce this one, please?
Sure. I'm going to share my screen so you can be familiar with the area. This is
Mr. Munson's back on. Thank you, Mr. Munson. We see you.
This is D1 IW 230074. That's 57 New Haven Avenue, Founders Walk. Map 55, Block 501, Parcel 1. It's a proposal by the City of Milford for the relocation and removal of parts of Shipyard Lane. And the reconfiguration of some existing parking areas and upgrading of some storm drainage system improvements as phases of the Founders Walk project. The proposed work includes moving portions of Shipyard Lane east and creating a pedestrian walkway along the Weppawag River. Replacement of a 15-inch outfall with a 30-inch outfall, and replacement of a 24-inch corrugated metal pipe with a 24-inch reinforced concrete pipe. Riprap splash pads, and water quality improvements. The outfall repairs and replacements are being done under Connecticut DEP permitting, as it is tidal wetlands associated with the harbor and the river. The agency is reviewing a minor amount of inland wetlands in that area as well, and work proposed within 150 feet of those wetlands and the Weppawag River. To ensure protection of the natural resources, including sedimentation and erosion controls. The city engineer's review came in, I think, yesterday morning, and it's in the meeting documents. This evening, we have representatives from the city's consultants, Silver Petroselli Associates, Don Smith, who is the project engineer, Bob Banning with Silver Petroselli, and Steve Wing who is the landscape architect. Mr. Chairman, the consultants are here when you are ready.
Thank you, Mary Rose, for the orientation. Just as we get started, as a reminder, this is a new application. So this evening, since it's on the agenda for the first time, we can ask questions, we can take no action, we can request additional information, we can schedule a site walk, and we can schedule a public hearing. As of today, there's been no petition received for a public hearing, and the deadline is January 3rd. So at this time, I'd like to open it up for the professionals to present the application, and please focus your attention on the wetlands and watercourses purview only.
So I guess I'll start by just introducing myself. New to the group here, Bob Banning with Silver Petroselli and Associates, principal at the firm, and I head up the engineering group. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Don and Steve as the lion's share of this design is under their purview.
Thank you, Mr. Banning.
Okay, for the record, excuse me, Donald Smith Jr., professional engineer with an office at 56 Greenwood Circle in Seymour, representing the applicant, and I am the principal civil engineer on the project. Wonderful project that we have here for the city that we've been working on, and looking forward to getting it into construction and obviously completion. I think, as you're aware, just to quickly go through the application, the total site is 24.8 acres, which includes Wilcox Park as well as Fowler Field, and the pavilion and basketball courts and parking. The total amount of the site that we're going to be altering by construction is approximately 4.5 acres. And it doesn't get into the ball fields, but basically, yep, there you go. Touches all of the parking lots and up along the fence along the road, and the parking lots. We don't touch the pavilion. We're not touching the tennis courts or the basketball courts either. So the wetland review area that's being altered is approximately 68,500 square feet, or just under 1.6 acres. Mary Rose, if you just want to back up to the C100. No. Oh.
Wrong way.
Nope. Should have had a C100 there first. Nope. Go the other way. Guess we're missing that one.
Sorry, we're having a little lag on.
Yep, no. No, go back up to the, oh, there is that might be. Yeah, all right, now let's stop right with that one.
Oh.
Or if you want, I have them loaded up on my computer if you want me to share my screen.
Yep. Stop my share. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the first three drawings in the set are a new topographic survey. We had the site flown by aerial topography in March of this year at low tide. So we've got quite a bit of the area below high tide out along the harbor. And we have good topography that we are working with. Again, this is the entire parcel that we're talking about. I'm going to get that out. There we go. The entire parcel area, and basically the area of detailed plans that we're going to be focusing on really with the shoreline would be this area in the red. So our overall site plan, and here is the 150-foot setback from the coastal jurisdiction line, which is elevation 4.7. And the CJL line and tidal wetland vegetation line are almost coincident. They kind of wiggle back and forth on which one is more waterward. But soil science and environmental services delineated the tidal wetlands in June of this year, and their report is in the application package. And again, the 150-foot limit of upland review limit is going up here through the middle of the site. As I said, we're touching the parking lots. We're not touching the ball fields. This heavy dashed line is our limit of activity. Shipyard Lane is going to be relocated to the center of the property and then removed over along the waterwork and replaced with a 12-foot wide river walk. For the wetlands impacts, we have 5 stormwater outfalls that are in this section of the property. The boat launch is over here to the right of the drawing. Stormwater outfall number 1 is the existing 24-inch pipe that is being 24-inch corrugated pipe that is being replaced with a reinforced concrete pipe. Corrugated pipe, as you can imagine, is very deteriorated and approximately half silted in. So that's going to be replaced. There's a second outfall here, number 2. It's a small 10-inch pipe, just feeds 1 catch basin currently in the roadway. This was an unpermitted outfall, and DEP has no record of it. So with the proposed design and the river walk, we don't really need it anyways. So this outfall is going to be removed, and there's about a half a square foot of regulated area that's impacted with stormwater outfall number 2. Stormwater outfall number 3 is an existing 18-inch pipe, serves kind of the center of the complex here. It's an existing pipe. It's in good condition. It does not need any work, so we are not doing anything to that outfall other than putting in an 18-inch diameter backwater check valve to try and stop tidal big storms from backing up into the property. We'll also be putting those backwater check valves in outfall number 1 and over here in outfall number 4, I'm sorry. Outfall number 4 is an existing 15-inch pipe, and that goes all the way up through the property, goes underneath the ball fields, and it takes a left and goes up and picks up those catch basins that are up on New Haven Avenue. And it also keeps going straight up the hill to Harborside Drive and picks up all of the drainage on Harborside Drive in that area over there. So it's a rather large drainage area, and as you can imagine, with a 15-inch pipe, it is certainly undersized. We are proposing to take that pipe and replace that 15-inch pipe with a 30-inch pipe, excuse me, from the outfall basically to the proposed roadway. And then from the proposed roadway to the other side of the parking lot, that would be replaced. The 15-inch is going to go up to a 24-inch pipe. So we're really upgrading the storm system on that area of the property. Also in our, Also in the application package, I provided the wetland or the tidal vegetation report that Jen Benno had prepared for us, and you can kind of see it here, but there were basically 3 types of vegetation. We had a spartina grass down right along the water's edge, and then upwards on the bank, more of an upland vegetation, And it was broken up into two sections with a 2A and a 2B, and 2A being heavy phragmites. And to say that the areas of the two outfalls, outfall 4 and outfall number 1, there's quite a bit of phragmites on the bank as well as over here below the marina parking. The work being proposed on outfall 1 is subject to Connecticut DEP certificate of permission application, and that is with what we're defining as the phase 2A, or so the area of the proposed roadway, this south parking lot and the east parking lot, that area is divided and will be constructed first, as well as this 24-inch outfall. And then once that's done and traffic can be shifted onto the new roadway, then we would proceed with phase 2B that would take out the roadway, build the new river walk, revise the parking area here in front of the basketball court. And one of the other things that we were asked was by the library. They wanted to have a drive-through book drop. So we have changed the direction of the library driveway so that it now goes heads east, and there will be a library book drop here. With that, the fire department got involved, and rather than just a regular 15-foot wide driveway, the fire department wanted a 26-foot wide driveway here in front of the library so that they had sufficient room for their aerial truck in the event that there was a problem at the library. But back to the outfalls, number 4 is again being replaced with a new riprap apron, new stormwater check valve, and then stormwater outfall number 5. There is some sediment that has come down that pipe, and there's a small accumulation of sediment at the outfall, approximately 2 cubic yards, and that the city engineer has asked us to include removal of that sediment from the end of the pipe in the project. So that's all being permitted through DEP. And the phase 2, which is outfall 4, that's a structures dredging and fill permit. Because of the increase in size from the 15 to the 30, that cannot be done as a COP. So that's a new structures dredging and fill permit. Let me go down a little bit here. So again, this is our phasing plan. And again, the east parking lot would be 2A. The relocated shipyard lane is 2A. And our south parking lot is all phase 2A. The river walk and all of this work up here between the library and the basketball court, that's all in phase 2B and is subject to DEP approval. Plan saying demolition plan, again, that's more for the inland and construction work, specifically the work along these outfalls. If you want, I can go down to those plan and profiles of those outfalls, but we've got 30 scale plans. The first ones we had were 40s. Now these are 30 scale plans. Again, the differences in the wetland vegetation, the spartina down lower, and a mix of vegetation up a little bit higher. But let me erosion controls. Let me stop here. We've got an erosion control plan for the property, a fairly comprehensive one. Primarily for, phase 2B, there will be a line of silt fence along the existing aluminum fence here. The aluminum fence that's currently exists along the top of the bank, that's our limit of activity. That fence is going to stay in place except for down here at outfall number 1. It's going to be moved inland slightly, but we'll be establishing a barrier along the aluminum fence. And we had proposed a silt fence barrier, and one of the city engineer's comments was to reinforce that with a line of hay bales, which is certainly a good idea, and we can include that in the plans, but that would be through here. Additionally, all of our catch basins will have either silt sacks, hay bales, stone check dams around them, but all of our new catch basins will be protected for erosion control. We've also designated areas for dewatering basins. This is a 40 by 40 by 2 foot deep for pump discharge and wet excavated sediment storage, with a staked hay bale barrier specifically around each one of these dewatering basins. Our geotechnical investigation revealed mostly unsuitable soils below the surface, unsuitable being clay materials, with some fill materials placed on top, but the underlying materials are a clay. Within 2 feet of the surface, we have clay materials. Again, another dewatering basin here over in this east parking lot. So figuring that as the storm pipes are being installed, they're going to be needing, areas for pump discharge as well as stockpiling of material, excavated material. So this represents the new 24-inch pipe. We have a new pair of catch basins in the road here. This drainage manhole is on the existing catch basin that's currently exists near the EV parking. And you can even know that that's a rather low catch basin, so that manhole is going to stay there. And then, that 15-inch pipe goes underneath the basketball court, hits the corner of the pavilion, and goes underneath the corner of the restroom. So we don't want to touch either of those. So we're going to come out and kind of jog around to get back over to where we need to get. Again, the erosion control plan, another dewatering basin here. We don't have a lot of slopes to work with. We're all pretty flat surfaces, so we're not expecting a lot of velocity, but we're also not anticipating very much infiltration due to the soils that we have. So we will be protecting all of the inlets is going to be the prime importance. Erosion control plan, standard notes narrative, best management practices, review of the site on the DEP and DDB website. The northern diamondback terrapin may be in the area, so we've got BMPs for the contractor to follow for that. Checking silt fences, checking during the morning when they start that there's no turtles, and breeding seasons are here. So we've alerted the contractor to the possibility. He's aware of that. Again, more of an overall drainage plan, but let me just keep going down here so we can get to, this is the proposed roadway profile. The dashed line represents the existing ground surface. This low spot here is the area between the two parking lots. So this is the east parking lot here, and then, that wet area that's kind of always over near the stage at the Oyster Fest. That's this spot right in here. And then we've got the paved parking lot down here. So we're generally following existing ground very closely as much as we can. We did want to bring the low point of the road up a little bit from the existing catch basin surface. 10-year flood elevation for Long Island Sound is 7.3. So we have raised the road so that we are just above the 10-year water surface elevation of the Wappawag River. This one here, let me zoom in a little bit more, but these are the two outfall number 1. Okay, the existing pipe currently ends back over here. But with the pretty much of a vertical slope behind it, but we believe that that pipe originally extended out to about this point in here. So that's where we are proposing to replace it to. Riprap drainage apron, permanent impacts due to all of the riprap is 122 square feet to both the tidal wetlands and the CDL line, not CDL, CJL, I'm sorry. Missed that typo. And then again, the lines that you can see, okay, so the coastal jurisdiction line is this heavy dashed line here. And then in front of it is the tidal wetlands line, the delineated tidal wetlands line. So tidal wetlands is waterward here. They're kind of coincident. And then tidal wetlands jumps behind the CJL line right there. And then it basically comes out and then they're both together. But that's the plan of that outfall and profile the existing 24-inch pipe. And then we will have a 2-to-1 planted slope along the new bank there. With certificate of permission, the amount of impacts that can be approved are very limited. So under the COP, this will be a planted slope. And then as part of the structures dredging and fill permit, we're going back for the riprap apron. So it's kind of a 2-part approval on outfall 1. And then again, check valve, stormwater check valve in the outlet of the pipe. And that was again a comment that the city engineer had that I want to review with him about where that's being located. And then outfall number 4, come on, there we go. All right, so this is now outfall number 4, the existing 15-inch pipe that we're replacing with a 30, new riprap apron, getting a little bit more riprap up along the ramp to the footbridge. This is the pedestrian ramp going up to the footbridge, so we're getting a little bit more riprap along the waterward side of that. But again, we have the same, legend here. The CJL line is the dark dashed line. The tidal wetlands line is the grayer line here. So coastal jurisdiction is out farther here. The CJL, the tidal wetlands is out further. And again, there's the CJL versus the tidal wetlands line. This outfall, there's actually a little bit of submerged aquatic vegetation out off the end of that outfall. And that information is included in Jen Beno's report that was submitted as part of the application package on the vegetation. And then down here, again, the section, we're going to a 1.5-to-1 riprap slope paving, intermediate riprap apron. Again, replacing the existing 15-inch with a 30. All of the catch basins that are going to be installed as part of this project, okay, they will all be outfitted with the ultra urban filters and smart packs for water quality measures and water quality improvements. So all of these catch basins will have the ultra urban filters in them. And some of them may also have the snout outlet hoods. But again, that's something I want to review with the city engineer, because the ultra urban filters are also designed to collect the floatable trash. So that's kind of the I don't know, did I miss anything? Any more information? Not that it's germane to this, but we have a pavement marking and signage plan as well with all of the signage. Just for an FYI, this here, the parking space summary. The existing site has 243 parking spaces, including 8 accessible. Of those accessible parking spaces, none of them really conform to the code. As proposed, we're now going to have 229 regular, 14 accessible, 4 EVs for a total of 246. So we were able to squeeze the parking count up just a tad. The boat launch area is really outside of the scope of the work, but there are 51 parking spaces over there, and that's not changing. But the boat launch parking lot here. A couple of pages of details, including the ultra urban filters and the smart pack media installation for that. DEP was, very interested in that, or was looking for that because of the depth of the existing storm sewer, and obviously the tidal flows, and the subsurface conditions that I spoke of. Any kind of infiltration basin, rain gardens would not really work. So we're at the bottom of the drainage area, so we're looking to get that stormwater right into the sound and off of the site. Bob Banning has, let me just get to these. There are, as part of our set, we have lighting drawings. And there was 2 different alternatives. One is we're reusing the existing lighting and supplementing, and then the second set of drawings is for new lighting. But those drawings are here and are, we're moving the existing light posts that are along the roadway and the sidewalk now. We're going to move those over a little bit closer to the path, and providing some new lighting in this parking lot here. So if you'd like to know more about the lighting, I can defer to Bob Banning, and he can explain that. And then Steve Wing is the landscape architect on the project, and a very modest planting plan. Some plantings over here along the river walk to create some character and a little bit of shade along the river walk. Some plantings here at outfall number 1. And then some plantings, a little planting bed here closer to the footbridge. We're developing some bench seating here along the footbridge as well, and expanding that paver patio. So we've got some landscaping that's going in over there. New landscaping, some new trees in between the library parking and the main parking field. So in a nutshell, half-hour nutshell, that's what we are doing, and that's where we stand. Any questions, any more information I can help you? Here's the chart of, total regulated area summary, our permanent impacts between outfall 1 and outfall 4. About 352 square feet to the CJL line, only 317 to the tidal wetlands, and then approximately 245 square feet of temporary impacts. And then here are those regulated area vegetation types. Type 1 is the Spartina, the lower elevations, Spartina. Type 2, 2A dominated by Phragmites, and then a 2B that has dominated by the high tide bush. So
Mr. Smith, thanks very much for the presentation. Can you just zoom in on the wetland vegetation impact summary? Can you just take us through that, please? Can you maybe explain how you got these numbers?
well, we have, I'm gonna go over to the plan view here. So, based on the sketches that we had generated, so we delineated where the type 1 vegetation was and the limits of it, and then we computed how much of it we were impacting. And then the same with the vegetation type 2A. We, sketched those limits out, and then based on the impacts that we were having there, computed that area. And you see them on this side here.
And again, go back to the summary for me, please. So as it relates to our purview, what is this telling us? Mary Rose, maybe you can comment.
Okay, so jurisdiction in a tidal zone for inland wetlands agencies is if there are wetlands above the coastal jurisdiction line, they can be regulated by the local municipality. The state, under its SDE or COP, could take jurisdiction, but at this point we're looking at mainly the erosion controls in the area to protect these, and erosion controls to protect the main phase 2A of the project, which is the main road, and then the work along the Riverwalk. The outfall protections for the various stormwater outlets are going to be dictated by DEP under the COP and structure stretching and fill permits. The proposed erosion controls is a standard silt fence backed up by hay bales as required by the city engineer. The majority of the work is going to be done seasonally as appropriate to work with the uses of the site area, which will work to protect the wetland vegetation a little bit more, because we're not going to be working in there when it's the spring. Might be working over winter when it's stable. So these tables are telling where the tidal wetlands are impacted, where the coastal jurisdiction is impacted. The wetlands that are above are tidal wetlands, but above the coastal jurisdiction line is a very small number, I think, as Bob alluded to. There's, like two square feet here and a couple square feet there. I don't know that we have the exact number on this table.
No, I don't.
Okay.
But
Thanks.
again, that was what I was explaining, and again, that may be a little bit clearer here. So, Mary Rose, what you're saying, when the tidal wetlands line is waterward of the CJL,
Landward, when the tidal
everything
wetland,
is on. Right. When tidal wetlands line here, this little peak
Yep.
is landward of the CJL, then this little triangle here that, yes, you've got a little bit of regulated area that's yours and not theirs, so to speak.
Exactly.
I understand.
The state may choose to regulate it. They always have the option to come down and regulate it, but it's our responsibility to look at it and regulate it.
Great, thank you. Is there anything else the application team or applicant team wants to present?
Bob Banning just texted me that he lost power at his house and that he is on the phone right now. And Steve, I think he's still with us. I don't know if Steve, do you have anything that you'd like to add? I can go over to your plan.
And I am here,
If you
Don.
look at the planting plan, you'll notice that it's kind of light. And the master plan prepared a few years ago showed a lot of trees along the roadways and a lot of trees. But one of our charges was to make sure that we're not going to interfere with traffic, and we're not going to interfere, the improvements will not interfere with Oyster Festival. So a lot of the Don and I spent the better part of a day at the Oyster Festival and talked to a lot of the participants and vendors. And so a lot of the trees we have are selected for being narrow and upright so that we don't interfere with all the things that happen during Oyster Festival. Down along the river walk, we will have some native trees that will be more widespreading, varieties of red maple and some Japanese black pines selected for their tolerance to these conditions. And right adjacent to a couple of these outfalls, we will be installing, or the planting plan calls for high tide bush, which is about the only plant that can tolerate that intertidal connection. A little bit lower, there'll be some Spartina installed. So that's the gist of it.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners?
No.
Mr. Munson?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I noticed in Jen Benno's report, there's a mention of some tree of heaven saplings. I was wondering if perhaps those could be removed. Like
The what kind of saplings? I'm sorry.
tree of heaven.
There was invasive species noted in the biologist report, and the question is, can we remove invasive species such as the tree of heaven on the site during construction? I would think Steve would agree with that programming.
Yeah, absolutely. Tree of heaven, we can get rid of. There are a couple of other items that we'll be watching during the landscape portion of the project.
Okay, I think the steer would be, we'd appreciate if you come back with, modification to the plan with that addressed as part of the application. Thank you, Mr. Munson. Anything else, Mr. Munson? It's a great call. Okay. Any other questions this evening? Is there any information that we believe we need that we don't already have for the application review and approval or denial process next week? I'm sorry, January 3rd.
Well, I personally think it's very thorough.
Yeah, I would echo that. It's very comprehensive. Do want to address that concern Mr. Munson raised, but seems very well designed. So thanks for the application. Mary Rose, is there anything else you'd like to throw into the record?
No, I think the maintenance, removal of invasives during the planting portion of the project could be a condition rather than a redraw of a full set. I'm not sure. I know that Taft had brought to the mailroom individual sets that Mr. Smith prepared for each of you. Looks like Julie got them. I'm not sure if everybody got them. Someone had called in today that they hadn't got their mail yet. Oh, Dan's got them. So, if you haven't gotten your plans and you need them, please let me know and we'll get a new set out. We'll drop it off to your house.
I got them this afternoon, Mary Rose.
All right, thank you, Steve.
Mr. Smith, did you have a question?
I'll reach out to Jen Benno and ask her about that, and if she recalls what that location was, or just to touch base with her and see if she's got any other information on that.
Thanks.
I didn't, that tree of heaven as an invasive, that's a new one for me, I'm sorry.
No problem. It's in her report, so she's going to be familiar with it. Okay, if there's no other questions, we can
Tree of heaven.
proceed on to the next agenda item.
Okay, so there's no new information that's requested. We'll get information on the invasives from Jen Benno for the meeting on January 3rd. Mr. Smith may not be available on January 3rd. If there's any engineering questions, if you can get them to me before then, and I will get them to his office so that they can answer for us before the 3rd.
Great, thank you. Thanks for coming before us.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your
Have a good holiday.
You too. Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Mary Rose, do you mind putting the agenda back up?
See you, Steve.
Okay, consideration of the minutes from the previous meeting. Do we have a motion to accept those from the November 15th, 2023 regular meeting as presented?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Bedeker, seconds. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor. Lisa, roll call vote.
Daniel Bedeker,
Aye.
Ranjit Bahav. Ranjit. Ranjit. Jim Connors,
Yes.
Steve Munson,
Yes,
Julie Valvo,
Abstain.
Brandon Magnan.
Affirmative, yes. Okay, that motion passes. Next up, staff report, Mary Rose.
Okay, so we'll do a quick overview of the staff report. It's all in your notes. Reminder that we have a few terms that are expiring on December 31st. If you can make sure you respond to the mayor's office, if you would like to be reappointed. I spoke with Justin Rosen earlier this week and told him that we have several vacancies and they have at least one new member that they're working on for the January 8th meeting. And I'm working on a former member to see if we can get another member. The next month will be worked on in the office. We'll be doing a lot of work on the CRS, the community rating system. You can read about that in the notes. There was FOIA training last month. There's a link to that act. We've done several bond releases. We've cleaned up several projects that are all done. And I don't believe any new projects had their permits pulled. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Okay, seeing none, Chair's report. Just want to thank everybody for all of your diligence throughout the year and all the time that you served. We much appreciated. Thank you so much. The next meeting will be January 3rd via Zoom. Please let the office know if you cannot attend. Looks like
Through
Raji.
Mr. Yeah, Ranjit wasn't able to unmute himself. He was in the affirmative for the minutes.
Vote for the vote earlier. Lisa, did you get that?
I did.
Okay. Thanks, Raji. Great. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful holidays. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
The motion,
Made. Do we have a second? Motion's been made and seconded. Lisa, roll call vote.
Ranjit Bahav. Daniel Bedecker.
Aye.
Jim Connors.
aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye.
Julie Valvo.
Aye.
Brendan Magnan.
Aye. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.
Happy holidays,
holidays,
everybody.
everybody.
Holidays.
Yes,
Thank you,
happy
everyone.
Same to you.
See you next
Stay
year.
safe.
January 3rd.
Next year, everybody. Thanks for coming out
Right.
tonight.
Bye. Sorry I was late.
No worries.